Hello, everybody. This is Dexter Kendrick. I'd like to welcome you all back to Dexter Kendrick Soul right here on YouTube, your place for relevant astrological advice and conversations on how to manage the energies of the universe right here as the world turns. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dexter Kendrick Soul so that you can stay in the loop with regard to astrological movements that are affecting all of us right here on Earth. All right, so today's conversation is going to be on the full moon that was in Virgo yesterday, which was February 22nd. And the first thing, as always, we're going to be discussing what the moon represents in our charts. Secondly, we're going to be discussing what Virgo means for how the moon is going to be expressing herself, or the outfit that the moon is going to be wearing during this full moon. And then thirdly, we're going to be discussing the area of life that it may be showing up in for you, as always, just so we can get a conversation in a general way. Certainly, I'm always available via private practice. Don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram at Dexter Kendrick Soul or Facebook at Dexter Kendrick Soul and schedule your own personal conversation. So the moon, what does the moon represent in our charts? Essentially, the moon represents our basic energetic emotional body. It represents how we are going through life on a regular basis, the vibration of the day. Many of my coworkers ask me, what's the energy of the day, Dex? What are we, I'm feeling this way or I'm feeling that way. And so the moon represents also our basic idea of nourishment. What is our basic need? There's no end point with the moon. It's just the basic things that we need in order to feel safe, secure, and nourished. And so every month the moon reaches its full status where we're able to see it very clearly in the sky. It's at a direct opposition to the sun and it's reflecting all of the sun's light. And we're able to also come to some level of a realization within ourselves. Full moons always bring about a climax, a resolution, a turning point in the monthly cycle, so that then we can begin to work on those things that were released at the new moon. Whenever the sun and the moon meet each other in the sky and you can't see the moon, you can only see the sun. The night sky is dark. So this 22nd, we were able to see what is being given birth to. So how is the moon expressing whatever it is that she's giving birth to within us emotionally? The moon in Virgo, we have to discuss Virgo. So the moon is going to be wearing her secretary's uniform. Essentially, the moon in Virgo, or Virgo itself, is associated with how we make ourselves of some usefulness. And so the question with this full moon is, what are you good for? The last post I did on Venus movement into Aquarius was the conversation on what kind of friend are you? And so here we're having these value conversations that are showing up in the heavens right now, because all of us are being asked to take a good hard look at what it is that we are doing. What is it that we are doing? And so Virgo's essence is the conversation upon usefulness. How do we use our personal talents and skills? How do we refine them in a way that they can be put to use for some other person? Now, as is different than when we were discussing Capricorn, which is another earth sign. Virgo is all about helping individuals for the sake that we get from doing a good job, a job well done. And there's also a significant amount of humility behind it, because we're talking about those things that need help behind the scenes. Capricorn, of course, is associated with what goes on in front of an audience, in front of people. But Virgo is associated with what goes on behind the scenes that actually makes that Capricorn movement so successful. It's not just the person on the stage, but it's all the people behind the stage that are making things happen and putting their talents to good use. And so we're going to be looking at that in whatever area of our chart that lies in. For some people, we're going to be looking at our relationships. What is our relationship giving to us? What are we giving to our relationships? For some people, it'll be our home lives. How am I making myself available to my family members? How am I hearing and listening to whatever it is that my family is in need of at this time? And in other areas, we'll be talking about our career. How am I working behind the scenes so that the group as a whole can function better? Whenever we're talking about Virgo, also we're talking about repair. So the sixth house, which Virgo is associated with, is an area where we take a look at what is not working so well. So what have we perhaps neglected? And of course, Venus and the moon are going to be in a really interesting aspect on this full moon, and what we call an adjustment aspect. So we're going to have to look at where we perhaps have been taking too much from other people and not making ourselves of any benefit, not making ourselves useful to the project at large, to other people. And we're also going to have to take a look at where we perhaps may have been giving too much to other people in a state of service and not being valued enough for what we offer. And so it's kind of an uncomfortable position, which is great because it's phenomenal for growth. Now, it's not a major aspect, but we will be noticing that some things perhaps have been off kilter that we'll have to look at and begin to work to repair. Virgo is phenomenal at taking a look at what is not working, what's not functioning, what perhaps has been left by the wayside, and then beginning to roll up one's sleeves and say, okay, you know what, there's some things that need to change. Let's make it happen. And Virgo is always associated with the visible outcome of the work and energy that we put into circumstances and people. So those are the things that we're going to be looking at. It's all downhill from here. Certainly energy is high over the next 3 days. But after this, the next 2 weeks will be working to put some things into motion. Of course, the full moon always brings up information where we have this realization about what isn't working, or perhaps about where we have been functioning and didn't even see in our day-to-day automatic behavior how we perhaps have let some things slip, or how we perhaps have been neglecting ourselves. Of course, Virgo also represents health and healing and the healing crisis. So those uncomfortable positions we find ourselves in when we say, you know what, I'm fed up with the direction I'm headed in. Time to change course. Time to begin to put some things into order and begin to manage oneself in order to self-improve. Like I said, the essence of the conversation of what am I good for, or what are you good for, all of us, right? How are we making ourselves useful to the people that we love and care about, and also the people that we do business with? How are we also of some benefit to them, not just what's in it for us, but how are we of some benefit to them? That conversation is going to be showing up and going to be allowing us to make some significant moves in that direction. So clarity is something that we're all going to be noticing at this time, and then being able to work with it is a significant phenomenon. I highly recommend, if you haven't already, go to alabe.com. It'll give you a short free blurb about your own personal horoscope. You'll just enter your birth information in there. If you'd like something more in detail, like I said, I'm always available via private practice to discuss your chart or to do psychic or medium readings as well. You just hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. I'll be happy to chat with you. But this conversation is on how can I make myself useful, and what things have I allowed to go by the wayside that now I have to begin to salvage. Some relationships won't be salvageable, and we'll have to kind of say that that's okay, because there's a learning curve with learning how to make yourself useful, especially if you haven't looked at how you have been contributing to other people. The Venus and Capricorn conversation was, what kind of friend are you? And so taking a look at how we nourish our relationships for the greater good. Certainly all of us are special. We all want our light to shine, but in the conversation of taking a leap forward, allowing ourselves and all of our relationships to move forward in any positive direction, we also have to be giving something back to the relationship. It's not just about you. It's not just about me. And here in Virgo, we actually are obliged to take a step back and say, how can I help you? There is something inherently positive about helping other people, because we learn more about ourselves and it kind of cleanses us. Of course, Virgo is associated with health and hygiene. Also, you'll notice if you're carrying any stress anywhere around your body that your gastric and gastrointestinal system might be showing those visible symptoms. Some people will have stomach cramping and diarrhea. Some other people might be experiencing nausea and so forth. So take a look at what's going on in your life, because our physical body mirrors our emotional body, and Virgo is an earth sign, and so we're always taking a look at the physical manifestation of our energy. Coming up, there's a solar eclipse coming up on March 8th in Pisces. We'll be discussing what that means. Certainly the sun just moved into Pisces. Follow me on Instagram at dexterkendricksoul. I did an entire conversation on what Pisces means. It's the 12th incarnation of the soul, the most difficult because it is the one that is focused on true love. So go check that out. And then also on March 5th, Mars, God of War, is going to be finishing up his 7-week stay in Scorpio and moving over to Sagittarius, philosophical Sagittarius. So we're going to talk about what happens when Mars goes to church. All right. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dexter Kendrick Soul. This was a conversation on the full moon that was in Virgo, and please stay tuned. Thank you.